In a world where speed is paramount and convenience reigns supreme, there is one name that echoes through the corridors of commerce: Visa. The very mention of this extraordinary brand evokes visions of boundless possibilities and limitless potential, but this wasn't always the case. Join us on an epic journey through time as we unravel the captivating story behind Visa, the revolutionary force that forever changed the way we exchange value. From ancient marketplaces to the bustling digital age, prepare to witness the birth of a global payments powerhouse that almost every one of us is now using daily without even realizing it. Chapter 1: The Beginnings of Visa. Plastic debit or credit cards have become synonymous with making payments. In fact, it's practically become a norm in our society, and it's gotten to the stage where it's become unimaginable to live in a world without them. This is why when we step out of our homes, we often take a moment to ensure we have our essentials: keys, cell phones, and wallets that house our payment cards. In fact, in 2019, debit cards overtook cash as the most popular form of payment in the United States. And when the pandemic hit, this trend further accelerated. But whilst we often perceive credit as a relatively recent invention, it might surprise you to know that the concept of credit predates the creation of money itself. It possibly began over 5,000 years ago with the rise of the ancient civilization of Mesopotamia. Using clay tablets, Mesopotamians conducted credit transactions with the neighboring Harappan civilization. Fast forward to the 1800s, and examples of some early credit cards began to emerge in the United States. Such examples were the credit coins and charge plates issued to farmers by merchants in the Wild West. These cards served as a means to provide credit until the farmers harvested their crops. Soon enough, these coins and plates began to evolve, and Western Union took the next step in this credit card evolution by instead offering up metal plates to their top customers, allowing them to delay payments. Taking a page from the merchants, a Brooklyn banker named John Higgins introduced the Charge It card in 1946. This system utilized Higgins's bank as an intermediary between customers and merchants. Now, how he pulled this off was a little risky, but forward-thinking. The bank would simply pay the merchant for the customer's transaction and afterwards collect the money from the customer. And at the time, no one would have ever imagined that this closed-loop payment system would mark a significant milestone in the history of card payments. Just 2 years after Higgins's impressive system took flight, the modern credit card as we know it today came into existence in 1949 with the creation of the Diners Club by Frank McNamara and Ralph Schneider. The concept was inspired by Frank's experience of negotiating with a restaurant manager to return the following day to settle his bill after forgetting his wallet. So Frank began issuing cardboard cards to a select friends group network of 200 male members. Remember, credit products for women were not permitted at the time. The Diners Club cards were primarily for travel and entertainment purposes and were accepted at about 27 restaurants, but they would soon realize they'd been sitting on a goldmine idea. Soon enough, the Diners Club expanded to become the first credit card accepted beyond a local area and grew to 42,000 members across the United States in just 2 years. Chapter 2: Bank AmeriCard, the first card. During the 1950s, the credit idea had really taken off, and the average middle-class American carried multiple revolving credit accounts with various merchants. However, this led to inefficiency and complexity for both consumers and merchants. As a result, the need for consolidation arose from the burden of managing numerous accounts and individual bills each month. It also didn't help that during this period, there was a lack of a unified financial instrument available to the general public. Luckily, the financial industry recognized this problem, but a bigger problem was no one had successfully addressed it. Although the Diners Club card was available nationwide, it still required full payment of the bills each month. And numerous attempts to create unified credit cards had failed, primarily due to the limitations of small, local banks lacking the necessary resources to implement them. This gave Williams and his team a blueprint to work with, as they spent time thoroughly examining these previous failures, seeking to figure out just where exactly the loophole might be. Joseph P. Williams was the leader of Bank of America's Customer Services Research Group, and his solution led to him inventing the first all-purpose credit card. So, armed with new knowledge from their research, Williams and Bank of America decided to conduct a test of the new idea. They cherry-picked Fresno, California as the test site due to its population of 250,000. The city was believed to be large enough to support a credit card system, but small enough to manage initial costs. It's important to note that at the time, Bank of America held a 45% market share in Fresno. So the test began with Bank of America sending out 65,000 unsolicited Bank AmeriCard offers to Fresno residents. Their test proved immediately successful, and by March 1959, it expanded to include San Francisco and Sacramento. In June, they made an extension of the offers to Los Angeles, and by the end of October that year, Bank AmeriCard had mailed 2 million offers, and the card was accepted at 20,000 merchants throughout the state. However, despite the development of demand for the card and merchant acceptance, came challenges. Of course, any novel business and idea faced difficulties at first, especially when dealing with something as fragile as finance. But the magnitude of these challenges was outrageous and almost derailed the journey of this new invention. You see, the projected number of delinquent accounts was 4%. But in an unexpected turnaround, over 22% of the accounts became delinquent, far surpassing their projection. It also didn't help that numerous instances of credit card fraud were reported. The launch of Bank AmeriCard incurred a loss of over $8.8 million for the bank, which increased to approximately $20 million when accounting for advertising and overhead expenses. As a result, the company initiated a public relations campaign to restore the reputation of Bank AmeriCard, and by 1961, it became profitable for the first time. Many of the early challenges had stemmed from fraud issues, and the initial credit card agreement held cardholders liable for all charges on their cards, including fraudulent ones. So once the language in the agreement was clarified, the company experienced significant progress. Naturally, competitors began to rise as well, and in a bid to discourage them, the company intentionally maintained a somewhat shady reputation, which proved effective until 1966, when the true profitability of Bank AmeriCard became public knowledge. But when exactly did Visa get coined? Stick around to find out, and don't forget to like and subscribe to find out. Chapter 3: D. Hock's Entry. By the late 1960s, Bank of America began licensing the Bank AmeriCard program internationally, with local banks issuing cards under different names. In Canada, a consortium of banks, including Royal Bank of Canada, Toronto Dominion, and Bank of Nova Scotia, offered the card named ChargeX. France adopted the name Carte Bleue, and in Japan the card was issued by Sumitomo Bank. The UK also saw the emergence of Barclaycard, and in Spain, Banco de Bilbao issued the Bank AmeriCard. But it wasn't until 1968 when D. Hock, a significant figure in Visa's history, entered the scene. Hock was appointed as the manager of the National Bank of Commerce in the same year, and he oversaw the rollout of Bank AmeriCard in the Pacific Northwest. Hock quickly realized that the expansion of Bank AmeriCard, although impressive, had been quite disorderly, leading to issues with interchange fees. This was because Bank of America had grown rapidly without considering how banks would handle fee charges between merchants and consumers, with the bank serving as an intermediary. However, this wasn't always an issue. In fact, it did not pose a problem when Bank of America was the sole provider of the product, but only when they started offering licenses beyond their network. Hock had an eye for recognizing these issues, and he made the smart decision to form a committee of other banks to convince Bank of America that the Bank AmeriCard had potential outside the bank. It worked, and in 1970, Bank of America relinquished control of the Bank AmeriCard program, marking the beginning of the takeover by the various issuer banks. When the hands control was switched, the National Bank AmeriCard, NBI, was established, forming an alliance or jointly controlled consortium, with Hock serving as the first president and CEO of NBI. This was during the time another group of banks formed MasterCard as a major competitor. Both associations operated as networks of participating financial institutions, promoting open financial systems, facilitating open-loop transactions, establishing branding through bylaws, and setting interchange fees. This strategic approach proved to be remarkable, as more banks recognized the opportunities offered by these networks, leading to their rapid growth. As a result, the card networks were incentivized to address technical challenges such as interoperability, fraud prevention, and dispute resolution as part of their service offerings. Following this, National Bank AmeriCard introduced a protocol language that established the first electronic authorization system, followed by the introduction of the first electronic clearing and settlement system called VisaNet. This system allowed merchants to accept Visa payments electronically rather than relying on manual processing of paper-based transactions. VisaNet also enabled the authorization and settlement of transactions in real time, improving the efficiency and security of the payment process. After expanding internationally, the company recognized the benefits of combining the efforts of international and national banks. However, there was significant resistance to releasing an international card like Bank Americard. To address this, Hock came up with the brilliant idea to rename the company Visa as a coalition of international companies. The name incorporated the blue, white, and gold flags, symbolizing the colors of various international flags. Hock believed that the name Visa was universally understandable, recognizable, and signified international acceptance. Chapter 4: Visa goes public. Moving forward to 2005, Visa was doing pretty well in the industry, but they had bigger plans to incorporate more business divisions. And on October 11th, the company announced its plan to merge certain business divisions and become a publicly traded company, Visa Inc. The merger involved Visa Canada, Visa International, and Visa USA coming together under the new company. 2 years later, Visa filed its $10 billion IPO on November 9, 2007, and on March 18, 2008, the company went public. The initial offering comprised 406 million shares sold at $44 per share, raising $17.9 billion, seamlessly making it the largest IPO in US history. Following the IPO, Visa began trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol V. Now that we've covered Visa's origins, you might be wondering how exactly Visa works. Primarily, Visa generates profit from fees derived from the payment flow on its VisaNet network. This network, which Visa first established in 1973, enables the transfer of payments between merchants and consumers. Since Visa operates a comprehensive system that encompasses technology, services, products, and programs, this facilitates the electronic exchange of funds information among financial institutions, merchants, consumers, and governments. In fact, Visa and MasterCard established the rules governing financial transactions on their respective payment networks, with Visa emphasizing reliability and security. For over 4 decades, Visa has maintained this stance, and as a result, the company has experienced remarkable growth and harnessed emerging technologies to enhance the convenience, reliability, and efficiency of its services since adopting the name Visa. Throughout its existence, Visa has consistently surpassed its main competitors, such as American Express, Discover, and even MasterCard in terms of global appeal and brand recognition. But since becoming public, one of Visa's notable triumphs in brand promotion was securing the official sponsorship rights for the Olympic Games. This agreement saw Visa pay a substantial sponsorship fee to become the exclusive debit or credit card accepted for purchasing tickets, souvenirs, and other items at the Olympics. In addition, Visa became the sole credit or debit card accepted at ATMs within the official Olympic venues, including the Olympics complex. The exclusive nature of the agreement granted Visa the sole privilege of displaying its logo and conducting advertising activities at the Olympics. This exclusive partnership, which extended until the 2012 London Olympics, proved immensely successful in elevating Visa's international visibility and recognition. Moreover, in the 1980s, Visa experienced significant expansion by partnering with Plus System, one of the largest ATM networks in the United States, enabling cardholders to instantly access their cash. Furthermore, through a collaboration with Interlink, the leading US network for debit cards in retail stores and restaurants, Visa emerged as the top debit card brand nationwide during the late 1980s. This was a carefully thought-out move. By introducing the option for customers to use debit cards for everyday purchases, such as fuel and groceries, Visa opened up a realm of convenience for its cardholders. With the exponential growth in debit card usage and the emergence of e-commerce in the 1990s, the company shifted its focus towards incorporating new technologies to enhance the capacity, speed, safety, and security of its payment processing network. Chapter 5: The Visa Logo Evolution. Something else that's often overlooked, but totally important to the journey of Visa, is its logo. Over the years, the company's logo has taken on different designs, and these designs actually play a significant role in enhancing its brand recognition. Visa has maintained a consistent visual identity that fosters brand loyalty, and this means that each design element, including the lettering style and color choice, conveys a sense of trust, reliability, and stability. which are crucial for a credit card company. From its inception in 1958 until 1976, the original Visa emblem portrayed a rectangular card with smooth, rounded corners. The card was divided into three sections: a dark blue upper section, a white middle section, and an orange bottom section. However, in 1976, some major changes occurred when the name Bank Americard was transformed into Visa to facilitate its expansion into the global financial system. With the rebranding, the company aimed to broaden its market beyond the United States. The logo underwent a renovation, but the designers opted to retain the familiar design. They replaced Bank Americard with Visa while maintaining the original colors and shapes. The word Visa was rendered in italics, and the letters featured serifs. In 1992, the color scheme of the logo was lightened. The outline became wider and changed to blue, while the rounded corners were straightened. This version of the Visa logo continued to be used in certain advertisements, but by 1999, the designers made further changes to the logo. They increased the spacing between the letters and slightly reduced the slant of the V. Additionally, the color scheme shifted from blue, white, and orange to cyan, white, and yellow. Again in 2005, due to Visa's immense global success, the company decided to update its visual identity to better reflect its diverse range of financial services. The designers introduced a new trademark that retained the Visa wordmark but eliminated the outer frame and rectangular elements seen in previous designs. The most significant changes, however, were perhaps made in 2014. Visa made significant adjustments to its classic color palette. The gold color, which was inspired by the magnificent golden hills of California where the card originated, was eliminated, leaving only the blue color associated with the state's blue skies. Although the gold element was removed, Visa continued to utilize blue because it evokes feelings of loyalty, trust, and stability. The color blue is widely used in financial logos, including those of PayPal and American Express, due to its positive associations. The color yellow, also previously used in the logo, was reportedly removed to create a closer connection with customers. Yellow had been associated with gold, symbolizing exclusive luxury and status, which didn't align with Visa's goal of making their services accessible to the general public. Now that Visa has evolved into a multinational corporation with billions of dollars in revenue handling a substantial portion of credit card transactions worldwide, all that's left to take a look at is how banks became involved in card associations. Chapter 6: Banks and Cards. Banks participating in card associations were purely driven by economic purposes. They recognized the opportunity for a highly profitable lending business through credit cards, which offered the potential for establishing new relationships solely through credit rather than less profitable checking accounts. This pivotal event occurred in the 1980s when merchants who previously recorded card transactions manually using paper transitioned to electronic record systems. The shift incentivized merchants to adopt a lower-cost alternative known as the interchange fee, paid to the card issuer. This meant that the issuing bank enjoyed the profits from the interchange fee, while the card network determined the fee and strengthened its relationship with issuers, as no issuer meant no network. Additionally, merchants were relieved of the burden of paper-based card records. But what's particularly intriguing is that although the card networks set the interchange fee and issuing banks profit from it, the networks themselves do not receive a share of the interchange fee. Instead, they control the price for their participants. And whilst Visa and MasterCard continued to innovate, banks began developing debit cards as a means of automating cash dispensing through ATMs and lowering the operating costs of automated clearinghouse (ACH) transactions. This eventually extended to merchant point-of-sale systems. One notable debit network processor was Interlink, which Visa acquired to hedge its bets and briefly became an ACH processor. Over time, Visa and MasterCard both developed solutions to process debit transactions alongside their credit processing capabilities. And as Visa and MasterCard grew in power, banks recognized the value of investing in these independent associations, which strengthened their relationship and provided them with more avenues to navigate the increasing scrutiny they faced. Looking back, we can't help but wonder if banks would have supported card associations in the same way if checking accounts were not regulated by the government. Perhaps banks would have introduced interchange fees for processing checks and found profitability through that channel. Ultimately, the history of Visa is an intriguing one that exemplifies how a single good idea can sprout into a world-changing concept. Presently, Visa operates in more than 200 countries and regions worldwide, facilitating online purchases of goods and services across various devices including cards, tablets, mobile devices, laptops, and desktop computers. And although the company continues to evolve with time, its core objective has remained unchanged: to provide the optimal payment method for individuals to transact globally and receive payments efficiently. We'd love to know your thoughts, so let us know in the comments if you're Team Visa or MasterCard.